It's good to trust people a lot, but it's scary not knowing what they're doing out of earshot.
You are such a genuine gem. Thank you for clicking on my Wicked Winter series. I'm Brooke Makenna, but today's video is going to be about the Japanese vending machine murders. Now, you don't think when you pick something up from a store, when you go to a restaurant, you don't think before you eat it or drink it. You just do it because it's the normal thing to do. But after this story, you may just think twice. By the way, if you didn't know, I am posting 31 days of continuous content for Wicked Winter this December, so if you want to catch up, there will be a playlist down below if you've missed any, and there's plenty more to come this week. So please make sure to subscribe with the post notification bell on if you are interested in this content or just want to support me and make me happy. Now let's get back to this story. Also, I want to throw in a disclaimer here that these are Japanese words, so a lot of them I will probably mispronounce or just put up on the screen so I don't butcher them completely, but please forgive me if I do, and if you want to correct me down below nicely, I'd love that. So in 1965, a company called Otsuka Pharmaceutical Co. began producing a drink. It was a healthy drink is what it was promoted as, called Ornamen C, which I'll be referring to as C. It was widely popular in Japan as soon as it launched, but around 20 years later they started to notice a decline. And this was because the older generation still loved it and would drink it continuously, but the younger generation, they didn't naturally grab for the health drinks. They wanted the sweet ones. So in 1985, Otsuka decided to do a promotion where they would give out free bottles of C, just dispensing it with another drink that was being purchased. So a lot of the time someone would go to purchase a drink and this C would come out with it. Now if they wanted it, they would go ahead and take it, but a lot of the times they would go ahead and leave it, whether in the slot or on top of the vending machine. But for people who couldn't afford it or who just simply wanted a free drink and it made their day, it was greatly appreciated. But on April 30th of 1985, this kind gesture turned evil because a 45-year-old truck driver from Hiroshima went to a vending machine in the city and got a drink out. And that is when he noticed the C sitting on top of the machine, and he decided to take that drink as well. This promotion from this company was well known, so people weren't very weary of taking drinks that were just sitting there because they knew that a lot of them would be just sitting there from the promotion. So he took both, he took them home, and he drank them. Then he became seriously ill very quickly. He showed signs of severe poisoning, including chemical burns on the inside. And despite the best efforts of the medical staff, he died a month later on May 30th of his internal injuries. His throw up contained traces of a chemical called paraquat. And this was a dangerous weed killer that was so poisonous that it was banned in 32 countries around the world. If ingested, just 2 teaspoons would be enough to kill you instantly. Contact with the skin is just as bad, giving you sudden redness and patches, followed by blistering, then hemorrhaging, which affects the blood vessel walls, which is why if ingested it's so horrible, because it will literally burn a hole through the victim's throat. But even though the truck driver's throw up showed signs of this chemical within it, they didn't know where it came from. It was found in his bottle, but when the rest of the C bottles in the machine were tested, no other chemical was found within it. So they didn't know how this one individual bottle had this poison inside. But with no leads at all, this case went cold. Little did they know there was about to be a lot more victims, and they had no idea where they were receiving these mysterious drinks with poison inside. 5 months later, on September 11th in Osaka, which was about 4 hours away from the first location, a 52-year-old man purchased a bottle of C, and when he reached down to get it, he found another one in the slot, which he took home with him as well. He drank them both and passed away 3 days later, with them finding traces of paraquat in the drinks as well. Then on September 12th, 2.5 hours away, a 23-year-old student purchased a drink at the vending machine, except this time it was something called real gold. And when he purchased it, he reached down and found another real gold in the slot as well. He took them home to drink it and died 2 days later, but when his case was looked into, it didn't have the exact same poison inside. It had something called Dequat, which is another form of a weed killer. 7 days went by and nothing happened. Then on September 19th, 3 hours away, a 30-year-old man found a cola underneath the vending machine and drank it. He died 3 days later. On September 20th, it happened again 12 hours away when a 45-year-old man went to purchase a drink and found 2 real golds inside the slot and decided to take those instead. And no surprise, he died 2 days later. Almost 11 hours away on September 23rd, a 50-year-old man found 2 bottles of C and drank them. But he survived a little bit longer than the other victims, lasting 14 days before dying. 5 deaths in 1 month. But the most terrifying part was that they were all spread out, and it didn't seem like there was any sort of pattern whatsoever, which made it even harder to find this killer. I mean, the vending machines that the drinks came from were always in very quiet spots, and they had 0 leads to follow. And then in October, the murders continued. On the 5th, a 45-year-old drank C and died 16 days later. On the 15th, a 69-year-old drank 2 bottles of unnamed drinks that were in the slot and died nearly a month later. Then on the 21st, a 55-year-old man drank an unnamed drink and passed away as well. And on the 28th, a 50-year-old man drank C that he found in the slot and passes away. Signs were posted on the vending machines to not take any drinks that weren't directly dispensed from the machine itself while they tried to find this killer. But the deaths still continued into November. And on the 7th, a 42-year-old man bought C but found 2 more in the slot and took them and drank them. He died 9 days later. But then on November 17th, another victim fell. This time, it was a girl, a 17-year-old. She purchased an unnamed drink but found a cola in the slot and drank it, dying a week later. And then the deaths stopped. Except that's when the copycats began, and people began to contaminate milk that were going to schools in central Japan, and police in Tokyo were getting news that drinks were being poisoned with lime and sulfur. But in all 3 cases, no one was ever caught. But it did change some things, because the Japan Soft Drink Bottles Association had to put 1.3 million warning labels on vending machines everywhere. And Otsuka Pharmaceutical Co. decided to change the design of these C drinks to a pull tab instead of a screw cap in hopes that people wouldn't be able to tamper with them. But some manufacturers of drinks refused to change their design, saying if only consumers were more cautious, they would have seen that some tampering had been done. Whether people looked from now on or not, this case was still almost non-existent and unsolved. There was no security cameras pointed at any of these vending machines to catch anyone, and no one was coming forward with any information, and no evidence was being found. But what they did find was that a year before these began, someone called Monster with 21 Faces had been writing letters to food companies. They wrote to the Glyco company that manufactures Pocky or Pokey, saying that they were going to poison the food. They sent these to several different food companies, though, taunting the police, saying that they were going to put poison candies on certain shelves. And this was looked into, and warning labels were posted on the candies where they said they would be, but no one was ever harmed. But that case was almost swept under the rug when these Japanese vending machine murders began. And some believe that these are the same people who threatened to poison the candies and who did poison the drinks. But there was no huge media attention for these Japanese vending machine murders. There weren't letters to, police or the media at all like they were in the other case, which is strange when they were actually doing the murdering then. It makes me feel like they're not exactly that connected. But the police superintendent on their case actually committed suicide due to the stress of it all, and after that, the monster with 21 faces wrote his last letter. And it said, "We decided to forget about tormenting food companies. We are bad guys. That means we've got more to do than bullying companies. It's fun to lead a bad guy's life, but I'm not sure if that was before or after the vending machine murders began." But another interesting fact I found was that all of the victims were men besides the last one. Once a girl was murdered, they stopped. Was that just a coincidence, or was that a pattern? Did they have an MO that they wanted to kill men, and then when they killed a girl accidentally, they stopped? Although how would they necessarily know who was going to pick up that drink unless they planted it seconds before? And 3 years before all of this happened, another case which is very similar to this case occurred. It was called the Tylenol murders, and 7 people died from cyanide poisoning found in Tylenol pills. No one was caught in that one either. Could these be connected, or were these Japanese vending machine murders copycats of those? And I find it very strange that the poison began to be found in all types of drinks, because I can see how they would start out with the C drink, because there was a promotion going on. People knew, there might be drinks on top of the machine that are just there, and that's okay because they're doing this promotion. But when these other drinks started to show up on top of the vending machines, how did they know that people were going to take them? Were they watching? Was this perhaps some kind of experiment? I think if it was some sort of horrific experiment, it would also explain why people began to die slower towards the end. Maybe they were trying to find different results. But I don't know, what do you think? Because I feel like it couldn't be a very controlled experiment if it was, because you can't really choose. But maybe that was it. Maybe they wanted to see what type of people would take it, how quickly or slowly they could make them die. I mean, yes, this is a horrible theory. It's where my brain goes, but you'll have to let me know what you think of it down below. But this one especially freaked me out reading about it, because I, for one, am always the one that when we go out to eat anywhere, when I get something from anywhere that I don't prepare myself, that I don't see being prepared, it does freak me out. You give so much control over to these servers and these cooks at these restaurants, and you have no idea what they're doing back there. And if there was something wrong, you'd have no idea until it was too late. And that is horrifying. So it makes me not ever want to go to a restaurant ever again. But the same thing could happen at stores. I mean, every time something like food related is recalled, I'm like, how can they do that? I just ate this whole bowl of whatever they're recalling, and now I'm gonna die. We don't have control over that kind of stuff unless we, plant it and take it out of the ground ourselves and prepare it ourselves. We don't know what's gonna happen. It's just kind of a by chance. Hope I'm okay today after I ate my lunch. But in this case, psychologists believe that there is a new breed of a thrill-seeking criminal who cynically enjoys superiority by imagining the victims groaning and do not feel any remorse. Ugh. I don't know, this is a shorter case for you guys, but I found it so intriguing that this could happen and that people are so susceptible, especially when it's free stuff. Anyone likes a good free thing, especially if it's something useful. So if you see a drink sitting there, I mean, if there was this promotion going on, probably half of us in the world would just pick it up and be like, oh sweet, thank you for leaving this random stranger from before. We wouldn't think, oh my god, this person probably poisoned this drink. Well, some of us might. Some of us who like the true crime stuff, yeah, we probably would, but a lot of people would just pick it up and drink it. So I don't think it's necessarily that these people who died were ignorant or stupid in any way. I think they just did the natural thing of, cool, something's free, I'm gonna take it, and didn't think about the consequences because they were told it was safe because of this promotion. So yeah, I mean, I feel for all those people who just wanted to get a drink from the vending machine, thought that they had a good day because they found something free, and then died a few weeks, days later. But I'm so happy that you have been with me all of this month, supporting me so much. You don't know how much it means to me. And I have a video coming at the end of this month where I really want to talk and get very personal with you guys. But I'll just leave it with, I'm so very thankful for you being here. Even if it's just today that you're here, I'm thankful for you. So remember, I'm posting another video tomorrow if you want to look out for that. And don't ever forget to speak up. Your voice is powerful enough, and I love you to absolute pieces. Okay. Bye.
Caution is sometimes necessary because the world can be very scary.